Hello, wonderful people. This is Andrew, and let's get into today's story. So the title is, My Daughter Begged Me Not to Go on My Business Trip. Daddy, when you travel, Grandma takes me somewhere dark. Please don't leave. I told my wife I was flying out. Instead, I parked 2 streets away, walked back, and climbed through the back window. At 9 p.m., my mother-in-law's car pulled into the driveway. My wife carried my sleeping daughter to the car. I stepped out of the shadows. My wife dropped her. Then I saw what was inside the car. I froze in horror after. Warren Waters pressed his lips to his daughter's forehead. Her small body curled under the pink comforter decorated with cartoon unicorns. Hope's eyes fluttered open, revealing the same hazel color as his own. She was 6 years old, with blonde hair that Nicole insisted on keeping long enough to braid. "Daddy," Hope whispered, her voice trembling. "Please don't go." Warren had heard this before. Business trips always triggered anxiety in Hope, but tonight felt different. Her small hand gripped his wrist with unexpected strength. "Sweetheart, I'll only be gone 3 days, Atlanta and back, just like always." He worked as a commercial architect, designing shopping centers and office complexes across the Southeast. The Atlanta project was worth $2 million to his firm. "When you travel," Hope said, her bottom lip quivering, "Grandma Dorothy takes me somewhere dark. It's cold and there are other kids crying. Daddy, please don't leave me." Warren's stomach tightened. He glanced toward the doorway where Nicole stood, her arms crossed. His wife's expression was unreadable in the dim hallway light, but he caught something in her posture. Tension, maybe guilt. "Hope has nightmares," Nicole said quickly. "The pediatrician said it's separation anxiety. Kids her age have vivid imaginations." Warren studied his daughter's face. Hope wasn't prone to dramatic stories. She was a quiet, observant child who colored inside the lines and always told the truth, even when it got her in trouble. "What kind of place, honey?" Warren asked gently. Hope's eyes welled with tears. "I can't remember when I wake up, but I'm always so tired, and my arms hurt, and Grandma says I'll go to the dark place forever if I tell." "Jesus Christ, Warren." Nicole's voice turned sharp. "You're encouraging this. She's playing you." "Hope, go to sleep. Your father has to catch an early flight." Warren kissed Hope's forehead again, his mind racing. "I love you, sweetheart. Everything's going to be okay." As he walked out, Nicole grabbed his arm in the hallway. Her fingernails dug into his bicep. "Don't put ideas in her head. My mother helps us with childcare. If you have a problem with that, we can discuss it when you get back." Warren had married Nicole 7 years ago. She'd been beautiful, charming, and came from old money. The Humphrey family owned a textile manufacturing business that had been passed down 3 generations. Dorothy Humphrey, Nicole's mother, was a fixture in their lives, arriving unannounced with expensive gifts and unsolicited parenting advice. He'd never quite warmed to Dorothy. There was something calculating behind her perfectly applied makeup and pearl necklaces, but Nicole defended her mother fiercely, and Warren had learned to keep the peace. Until tonight. Warren threw his suitcase in the trunk of his black Audi at 5 a.m. Nicole watched from the doorway in her silk robe, coffee mug in hand. He waved, started the engine, and drove toward the highway. But instead of heading to the airport, Warren circled back through their Charlotte neighborhood. He parked 2 streets over, behind a construction site that had been abandoned for weeks. His military training from 8 years in the Marines kicked in. Warren had served 2 tours in Afghanistan as an intelligence officer before transitioning to civilian life. He'd learned patience, observation, and how to trust his instincts when something felt wrong. And everything about this felt wrong. Warren walked through backyards and side streets, approaching his house from the rear. Their property backed up to a small wooded area, which made it easy to slip through the trees undetected. He'd installed the security system himself, a top-of-the-line setup that he now disabled using his phone, creating a 30-second window to enter through the basement. The house was silent. Nicole had taken Hope to school. Warren positioned himself in the guest bedroom on the 2nd floor, a room they never used that offered a view of the driveway. He'd brought supplies, water, protein bars, his SLR camera with a telephoto lens, and his Glock 19, which he'd maintained his concealed carry permit for despite Nicole's objections. Hours crawled by. Warren used the time to review everything he knew about Dorothy Humphrey. The woman was 72, a widow for 15 years since Nicole's father had died of a heart attack. She lived in a sprawling estate in Myers Park, the wealthiest neighborhood in Charlotte. Dorothy served on charity boards, attended galas, and donated generously to causes that got her name in the society pages. But Warren had always sensed a coldness beneath the Southern Belle facade. The way Dorothy looked at Hope sometimes, like she was inventory to be managed rather than a granddaughter to be loved. Nicole's car pulled into the driveway at 3:30 p.m. Warren watched through the camera lens as his wife helped Hope out of the back seat. His daughter looked exhausted, her backpack dragging on the ground. Nicole hustled her inside without the usual afternoon snack routine. Warren waited. At 8:45 p.m., headlights swept across the driveway. Dorothy's silver Mercedes pulled up to the house. Warren's pulse quickened. He raised the camera, finger on the shutter button. Nicole emerged from the front door carrying Hope. His daughter appeared to be sleeping, her head lolling against Nicole's shoulder. But something was off. Hope's arms hung too limply, her breathing too shallow. Warren's blood turned to ice. That wasn't natural sleep. Hope had been drugged. He moved swiftly down the stairs, adrenaline flooding his system. The training from his Marine days took over. Controlled breathing, heightened awareness, tactical thinking. He slipped out the back door and circled around the side of the house, staying in the shadows cast by the street lamps. Nicole was placing Hope in the back seat of Dorothy's Mercedes. The old woman stood by the driver's door, checking her phone. Warren could see her clearly now. Dorothy wore all black, unusual for her, and her expression was businesslike, rather than grandmotherly. Warren stepped out from the shadows. "Going somewhere?" Nicole's scream cut through the quiet suburban night. She stumbled backward, and Hope slipped from her arms. Warren lunged forward, catching his daughter before she hit the concrete. Hope's skin was clammy, her pupils dilated even in sleep. "Warren, what are you? You're supposed to be in Atlanta." Nicole's voice pitched high with panic. "What did you give her?" Warren held Hope close, his voice deadly calm. "What the fuck did you give my daughter?" Dorothy moved with surprising speed for her age, trying to slam the Mercedes door shut, but Warren had already seen inside. The back seat held two more children, both around Hope's age, both unconscious, a boy with dark hair and a girl wearing a private school uniform. And on the floor, medical supplies, zip ties, and a briefcase he recognized. It belonged to Dr. Edgar Fox, a pediatrician Dorothy had insisted they use for Hope's checkups. Warren's vision tunneled. Everything clicked into place with horrifying clarity. The dark place Hope mentioned, her unexplained exhaustion after his business trips, the way Dorothy always insisted on babysitting, always at night, always when he was out of town. "You're trafficking children." Warren's voice came out flat, emotionless, the same tone he'd used in Afghanistan when interrogating enemy combatants. How long?" "You don't understand," Nicole said, her face crumbling. "Warren, please, it's not what it looks like." "Then tell me what it looks like, Nicole. Tell me why our daughter is drugged in your mother's car with two other unconscious children." Dorothy's mask finally slipped. Her southern gentility evaporated, replaced by cold calculation. "You've made a terrible mistake, Warren. You should have stayed on that plane." "I'm calling the police." Warren shifted Hope in his arms, reaching for his phone. Dorothy laughed, a brittle, ugly sound. "And tell them what? That your wife and I were taking children to a sleepover? That you broke into your own home and have been hiding like a paranoid lunatic? Call them. I have the chief of police and half the district attorney's office at my charity events. My family has owned this city for 100 years. Warren looked at Nicole. His wife wouldn't meet his eyes. 7 years of marriage, and he'd never really known her at all. "How much?" Warren asked quietly. "How much are they paying you to sell children?" "It's not about money," Nicole whispered. "Mother's organization, they help place children with families who want them, people who can't adopt through traditional channels. It's a service." "A service?" Warren's jaw clenched. "You're drugging kids and selling them to the highest bidder. That's called human trafficking, Nicole." "The families pay well," Dorothy said matter-of-factly, "and the children come from unfit parents anyway. drug addicts, welfare cases. We're giving these kids better lives. Warren's grip tightened on Hope. Hope isn't from a welfare case. She's your granddaughter. Hope is merchandise that's already been paid for, Dorothy said. A very wealthy couple in Dubai has been waiting 6 months for a blonde American girl under 7. The deposit alone was $500,000. The words hung in the air like poison gas. Nicole finally looked at him, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, I never wanted. Mother said we needed the money. The house, the lifestyle, everything was mortgaged. Daddy's business failed before he died. It's all been a lie, Warren. We've been broke for years. Warren's mind raced through possibilities. If Dorothy had the police and DA in her pocket, a straightforward approach would fail. He'd be painted as an unstable veteran with PTSD, and by the time any real investigation happened, Dorothy would have cleaned up the evidence and disappeared with Hope forever. He needed time. He needed leverage. And most importantly, he needed to get Hope to safety. Okay, Warren said slowly. Okay, let's talk about this inside. We can figure something out. Dorothy's eyes narrowed. You're not that stupid. I'm a realist. Warren forced his voice to stay level. You're right about your connections, but I'm Hope's father. I have parental rights. We can negotiate something. Maybe I look the other way on the others if you leave Hope out of it. He watched Dorothy calculate, seeing the gears turn behind her eyes. She wanted to believe him because it was the easiest solution. Warren had always been the passive son-in-law, the one who deferred to Nicole and Dorothy on family decisions. Mother, maybe... Nicole started. Oh, shut up. Dorothy cut her off. Warren, put Hope back in the car. We'll talk about your terms after tonight's delivery. Consider it a show of good faith. Warren looked down at his daughter's unconscious face. Every instinct screamed to run, to fight, to kill both of these women where they stood. But the other 2 children in the car needed help too. And if Dorothy had been doing this for years, there were dozens more victims, maybe hundreds. He needed to destroy the entire operation, not just save Hope. All right, Warren said, but I'm coming with you. I want to see the whole setup. If I'm going to be complicit, I need to understand the risk. Dorothy smiled, a predatory expression that made Warren's skin crawl. Smart choice, but leave your phone here, and the gun I'm sure you're carrying. Warren had miscalculated. Dorothy was sharper than he'd thought. He slowly set Hope on the grass, removed his Glock from the small of his back, and placed it on the ground along with his phone. Now get in the car, Dorothy said. Nicole, drive Warren's car into the garage. We'll dispose of it later. As Warren climbed into the Mercedes with his drugged daughter and 2 other unconscious children, he caught a glimpse of the briefcase again. Dr. Edgar Fox. That was a thread he could pull. He'd been in worse situations in Afghanistan. Sometimes you had to go deeper into enemy territory to find the command center. Warren Waters was going to war, and this time, the enemy was on his home soil. The Mercedes glided through Charlotte streets, Dorothy driving with practiced ease. Warren sat in the back seat between the 3 unconscious children, his mind cataloging every detail. The boy appeared to be around 5 years old, Hispanic, with a small scar on his chin. The girl in the school uniform was maybe 7, Asian features, expensive shoes. Both had the same clammy skin and shallow breathing as Hope. Where did you get them? Warren asked, keeping his voice neutral. The boy's mother is in rehab. 3rd time. Dorothy didn't take her eyes off the road. The girl's parents are Chinese nationals here on work visas. They have 2 daughters. They won't miss one. The casual cruelty in her voice made Warren want to reach forward and snap her neck, but he forced himself to breathe, to observe, to plan. They drove for 20 minutes, leaving the upscale neighborhoods and entering an industrial area near the airport. Dorothy pulled into a warehouse complex that appeared abandoned. But Warren noticed the security cameras, the reinforced doors, the fresh tire tracks in the dusty lot. Inside, the warehouse had been converted into a makeshift medical facility. Exam tables, IV stands, medical equipment, and people, at least 6 adults moving with purposeful efficiency. Warren recognized Dr. Edgar Fox immediately, the pediatrician who'd examined Hope a dozen times. The doctor was preparing syringes, his balding head bent over his work. A younger man in expensive clothes supervised the operation. He was maybe 30, handsome in a generic way, with slicked back dark hair and a Rolex that probably cost more than Warren's car. "Dorothy," the man said, smiling. "Right on time. And who's this?" "My son-in-law, Warren Waters. He's decided to join the family business." The man's smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'm Elias O'Brien. I handle logistics. Your mother-in-law has told me a lot about you, Warren. Architect, right? Former Marine?" "That's right." Warren shook the offered hand, noting the strong grip, the calculating assessment in O'Brien's gaze. "Military experience is valuable in our line of work," O'Brien said. "We could use someone with your skills." Warren nodded, playing along. "What exactly is the scope of the operation?" O'Brien laughed. "Eager, I like that. Come on, let me show you what your family has built." As they walked deeper into the warehouse, Warren counted exits, observed security measures, memorized faces. There was a woman with red hair, Laverne Willis, according to her name tag, who appeared to be handling documentation. Another man, heavy-set with a mustache, guarded a door marked processing. "We move about 30 children a month," O'Brien explained like he was describing a manufacturing business. "Domestic placements, international transfers. We've been operating in Charlotte for 8 years. Dorothy brought us the society connections, the legitimate front through her charity work. I provide the international network." "Where do the children come from?" Warren asked. "Everywhere. Foster system, predominantly. Some from troubled homes where we can exploit the situation. Occasionally, we'll identify targets at schools, playgrounds, shopping centers. We have spotters throughout the city." Warren's fists clenched at his sides. "What happens to them?" "Depends on the buyer. Wealthy couples who want kids but can't or won't go through legitimate adoption. Some go to labor situations overseas. A few go to, well, less savory clients. We don't ask too many questions as long as the money clears." They reached the door marked processing. The guard, a man who looked like he'd done time, with prison tattoos crawling up his neck, stepped aside. Inside, Warren saw rows of cages, not cells, cages, and in them at least 15 children of various ages, most sleeping, some staring blankly at nothing. Warren's vision blurred red. Every instinct screamed to attack, to kill everyone in this building. But he'd be dead in seconds, and hope would disappear forever. "Impressive setup," Warren managed to say. "We sedate them for processing," Dr. Fox said, appearing beside them. "Makes everything easier. The ones here are waiting for transport. Most will be moved within 48 hours. Warren turned to Dorothy. "And Hope? You were really going to sell your own granddaughter?" Dorothy's expression remained cold. Hope was becoming a liability. She remembered too much from previous exposures. Children who talk become problems. Better to place her somewhere far away where she'll forget English and forget us. The Dubai buyer specifically requested a young blonde girl from a good family, O'Brien added. Hope fit the profile perfectly. Plus, at 6 years old, she's at the optimal age, old enough to be useful, young enough to adapt and forget. Warren looked at Hope, still unconscious in Dorothy's arms. His daughter? His entire world. These people had planned to ship her to Dubai to be some wealthy monster's property. "When does the transport happen?" Warren asked. "Tonight. Private plane leaves at 2 a.m. O'Brien checked his watch. "Which means we need to finish processing these 3 and get them prepped." Warren made a decision. He couldn't save everyone tonight, but he could start burning this operation to the ground. "I need to use the bathroom," Warren said. O'Brien gestured to the guard. "Show him." The bathroom was small and filthy, graffiti on the walls, a single bulb flickering overhead. Warren splashed water on his face and stared at his reflection. He'd been in combat situations before. He'd stared down enemy fighters who wanted him dead, but nothing had prepared him for the rage he felt now. These weren't foreign combatants. This was his wife, his mother-in-law, his daughter's doctor, pillars of the community, wearing masks of respectability while destroying innocent lives. Warren noticed the window above the toilet, small but manageable. He stood on the toilet tank and peered out. The window opened to an alley, fire escape nearby. He memorized the layout. When he returned, Dr. Fox was examining Hope. She'll sleep another 4 hours, perfect timing for the flight. I want to come on the transport, Warren said, to Dubai. I need to see the whole operation end to end if I'm going to be involved. O'Brien and Dorothy exchanged glances. That's not protocol, O'Brien said carefully. I'm not asking for protocol. I'm asking for proof that my daughter, that these children, are going where you say they're going. If I'm risking everything by joining you, I need assurances. Dorothy smiled. He's negotiating. I told you Warren was smart. Fine, O'Brien said. You can accompany this shipment, but Dorothy stays here to manage the next intake. And Warren, if you try anything, we have people everywhere. You'll never see Hope again, and you'll be blamed for everything. We've built fail-safes into this operation. Understood. Warren nodded. Good. Fox, get him processed. Fake passport, documentation. We leave in 3 hours. As Dr. Fox led Warren to another room to create his false identity papers, Warren spotted something crucial. A computer workstation, unlocked, with what appeared to be client databases and financial records on the screen. I need the bathroom again, Warren said, nervous stomach. Fox sighed. Make it quick. Warren returned to the bathroom and examined the window more carefully. It was a risk, but doable. The real question was whether he could get back inside with enough evidence to destroy everyone involved. He climbed through the window, dropped into the alley, and ran. The industrial area was dark, few streetlights. Warren's lungs burned as he sprinted 3 blocks to a 24-hour convenience store. No phone, no wallet. He'd left everything at the house. But he'd served with a man who lived in Charlotte, another former Marine who'd gone into private security. I need to use your phone, Warren said to the clerk, a young kid with headphones around his neck. Emergency. The clerk looked skeptical. Pay phones outside. I don't have money. Please, my daughter's been kidnapped. Something in Warren's eyes must have convinced him. The clerk handed over his cell phone. Warren dialed from memory. It rang 4 times before a gruff voice answered. This better be good. Brett, it's Warren Waters. I need extraction, and I need it 5 minutes ago. Brett Huyn had been Warren's staff sergeant in Afghanistan. They'd kept in touch loosely over the years, Christmas cards and occasional beers. Brett now ran a private security firm in Charlotte. Warren? Jesus, it's midnight. What's going on? I'll explain when you get here. Warren gave him the address. And Brett? Bring weapons, lots of them. 20 minutes later, a black SUV pulled up. Brett Huyn stepped out, still built like a linebacker, his hair now touched with gray at the temples. 2 other men emerged from the vehicle, both with the unmistakable bearing of military veterans. You look like hell, Brett said. Warren quickly explained the situation, the trafficking ring, Hope being drugged, the warehouse full of children. He watched Brett's expression darken with each detail. Shit, Brett said when Warren finished. You're talking about declaring war on a major criminal operation. I'm talking about saving my daughter and 15 other kids before a plane takes off in 2 hours. Brett looked at his 2 associates. Darren, Mickey, you in? Darren Emery, a lanky African-American man with a scar across his jaw, nodded. Got kids myself. I'm in. Mickey Brennan, shorter but muscular with red hair, checked his weapon. Let's do this. We need a plan, Brett said. You can't just shoot up a warehouse full of kids. Warren's mind raced. The plane. If we stop the plane, we stop tonight's transport. Then we go after the warehouse. Airport's controlled environment, Darren said. Security, cameras, federal jurisdiction. Private airfield, Warren corrected. O'Brien mentioned a private plane. They can't be using Charlotte Douglas International. Too much scrutiny. Brett pulled out his phone. I know someone at the FAA. Give me 5 minutes. While Brett made calls, Warren borrowed a phone to contact someone else he'd remembered. Jeffrey Morrison, an investigative journalist he'd met at a community event 2 years ago. Morrison worked for the Charlotte Observer and had a reputation for exposing corruption. This is Jeffrey, a sleepy voice answered. Mr. Morrison, my name is Warren Waters. I have evidence of a child trafficking ring operating in Charlotte. I'm about to shut it down tonight, but I need you to document everything. Who is this really? It's almost 1 in the morning. I'm a father trying to save his daughter, and about 30 other children. Can you meet me at coordinates? I'll text you in 40 minutes with a camera crew." There was a pause. "If this is bullshit." "It's not. Bring cameras. Bring your biggest story of the year." Warren hung up as Brett returned. "Found it. Small private airfield 20 minutes from here. One plane scheduled for departure at 2 a.m. Flight plan filed to Dubai with a fuel stop in London." "Then that's where we're going," Warren said. The four men loaded into the SUV. Brett handed Warren a Glock 17 and extra magazines. "Like old times, huh?" "Except now the enemy wears designer clothes and donates to charity," Warren said grimly. As they drove toward the airfield, Warren called Jeffrey Morrison back with the coordinates. Then he called one more number, a federal contact he'd maintained from his intelligence days, an FBI agent named Herbert Carson who specialized in organized crime. "Carson," an alert voice answered. Special agents never really slept. "Agent Carson, this is Warren Waters. We met 3 years ago at the Joint Task Force briefing in Quantico." "I remember. What can I do for you, Warren?" "I'm about to hand you the biggest human trafficking case in North Carolina history, but I need you to mobilize now and meet me at these coordinates." "I can't just mobilize a team based on a phone call at 1 in the morning." "Then I guess you'll miss the arrest of Dorothy Humphrey, a pediatrician named Edgar Fox, and at least a dozen other traffickers who've been operating under your nose for 8 years. Plus, I'll rescue about 30 children in the process. Your call, Agent Carson." The line went silent for a moment. Then, "Give me the address. And Warren, don't do anything stupid before I get there." "Define stupid," Warren said and hung up. The private airfield sat on the outskirts of Charlotte, a single runway with a small terminal building and 2 hangars. Security was minimal, a chain-link fence and a gate guard who looked bored. Warren and the team parked a quarter-mile away, approaching on foot through an overgrown field. The night was humid, clouds obscuring the moon. Warren could see the plane on the runway, a sleek Gulfstream G550, lights on, engines warming up. "2 guards visible," Darren whispered, looking through night vision binoculars. "Armed, one by the plane, one by the terminal." "O'Brien will be there," Warren said. "Probably Dr. Fox, maybe others." "And the kids?" Mickey asked. "On the plane already, or about to be loaded. They'll be sedated, easy to move." Brett checked his watch. "Carson's ETA is 30 minutes. On too long." "Then we don't wait." Warren chambered around. "We go in quiet, neutralize the guards, secure the plane. By the time backup arrives, we'll have everything locked down." They moved in pairs, Warren with Brett, Darren with Mickey. The fence was easy to cut through. They approached the terminal from opposite sides, using the darkness as cover. Warren spotted the first guard, young guy, probably hired muscle, cigarette dangling from his lips. Stupid. The orange glow gave away his position. Warren moved like a shadow, 8 years of Marine close-quarters combat training taking over. He struck fast and precise, rendering the guard unconscious before he could even drop the cigarette. On the other side of the terminal, Darren and Mickey took down the second guard. Warren signaled to Brett. They moved toward the plane. The Gulfstream's door was open, stairs extended. Warren could hear voices inside. O'Brien's distinct tone, sharp and commanding. Another voice he didn't recognize. "We're behind schedule," O'Brien was saying. "Where the hell is Fox with the sedation logs? The Dubai buyer wants documentation on all medical treatments." Warren crept up the stairs, Brett right behind him. Inside the plane's luxurious cabin, he saw them. Hope and the other 2 children from earlier, strapped into seats, still unconscious, and 4 more children he hadn't seen before. Older, maybe 8 or 9, similarly sedated. O'Brien stood in the aisle with another man, both reviewing paperwork. Neither noticed Warren until he had his Glock pointed at O'Brien's head. "Federal agents are 2 minutes out," Warren said calmly. "This is over." O'Brien's eyes widened, then he smiled. "Warren, I underestimated you. Dorothy said you'd be compliant." "Dorothy doesn't know me as well as she thinks." The other man slowly raised his hands. He was older, distinguished, wearing an expensive suit. "I'm just the pilot." "Bullshit," Brett said, covering him. You're transporting drugged children internationally. You're an accomplice. O'Brien's hand drifted toward his jacket. Warren's finger tightened on the trigger. Don't. You won't shoot me, O'Brien said confidently. Not in a plane full of children. One stray bullet hits the wrong thing and... Warren shot him in the kneecap. O'Brien's scream echoed through the cabin. He collapsed, clutching his shattered leg. You son of a bitch. I'm a Marine. I don't miss. Warren kicked O'Brien's gun away. Next one's through your skull. The pilot dropped to his knees, hands on his head. Don't shoot. I just fly the plane. I don't know what they're doing. Sirens wailed in the distance, multiple vehicles converging on the airfield. Hope, Warren said, holstering his weapon and moving to his daughter. Her pulse was steady, breathing regular. Relief flooded through him. She was alive. She was safe. Federal vehicles surrounded the plane. FBI, local police, even a SWAT team. Agent Herbert Carson climbed aboard, his weathered face taking in the scene with professional assessment. Warren Waters, Carson said, you've been busy. These children need medical attention immediately, Warren said. They've been drugged, and they're more at a warehouse facility. He gave Carson the address. Already have units en route, Carson said. He looked at O'Brien, writhing on the floor. Elias O'Brien. We've been tracking you for 3 years across 4 states. Couldn't get enough evidence to arrest. Thank you for gift wrapping yourself. Jeffrey Morrison and his news crew arrived minutes later, cameras rolling. Warren gave him a statement on camera, laying out the entire operation, Dorothy Humphrey's charity front, Dr. Edgar Fox's medical complicity, the warehouse full of caged children. This ring has been operating for at least 8 years, Warren told the camera, selling children to wealthy buyers worldwide. My daughter was hours away from being trafficked to Dubai. She is one of 30 children we've rescued tonight. By 3 a.m., the warehouse had been raided. Dorothy, Dr. Fox, and 6 others were in custody. The FBI recovered detailed records of over 200 children who'd been trafficked through the operation. Bank accounts in the Cayman Islands, buyer databases spanning 3 continents. Nicole was arrested at their home, still waiting for Dorothy to return. She didn't resist, just cried and asked if Hope was safe. Warren didn't answer her. At the hospital, doctors examined Hope and the other children. Most would recover physically. The psychological trauma would take longer. Hope woke up around dawn. Her eyes found Warren sitting beside her bed, and she immediately started crying. Daddy, I knew you'd come. I knew you'd save me. Warren held her, tears streaming down his own face. You're safe now, sweetheart. No one's ever taking you anywhere dark again. Is Mommy coming? Warren's jaw clenched. How do you tell a 6-year-old that her mother tried to sell her? Mommy made some very bad choices, Warren said carefully. She's going to be away for a long time. Because of Grandma Dorothy? Yes, because of Grandma Dorothy. Hope buried her face in Warren's chest. I don't want to see them anymore. You won't, Warren promised. I'll make sure of that. Over the next 72 hours, the story exploded across national media. Jeffrey Morrison's investigative report detailed every aspect of the trafficking ring. Names, faces, bank records. The Charlotte Observer published a series that won awards and triggered federal investigations in 6 other states where similar operations were suspected. Dorothy Humphrey's carefully constructed facade crumbled. Her charity boards expelled her. Society friends distanced themselves. The Humphrey family textile business, already drowning in debt, collapsed entirely when banks called in loans. Warren filed for divorce and emergency sole custody. His lawyer, a fierce woman named Monica Everett who specialized in family law, ensured Nicole would never see Hope again. She'll get 25 to life, Monica explained in her office. Conspiracy to traffic minors, child endangerment, kidnapping. The DA is throwing everything at her. She might take a plea deal. I don't care what she does, Warren said, as long as Hope is protected. She will be. I'll make sure of it. The preliminary hearing was held 3 weeks later. Warren attended, sitting in the gallery with Brett beside him. Nicole looked diminished in her orange jumpsuit, hair unwashed, makeup gone. She looked like a stranger. When the judge read the charges, Nicole broke down. I didn't want to do it. Mother said we had no choice. We were going to lose everything. You lost more than everything, Warren said loud enough for her to hear. You lost your soul. Nicole's eyes found his. I'm sorry. Warren, I'm so sorry. Warren stood and walked out. Some apologies meant nothing. Dorothy's trial was scheduled for 6 months later, but she never made it to court. At 72, facing life in prison, she suffered a stroke in her cell. Massive and debilitating. The doctor said she'd likely never walk or talk again. Warren visited her once in the medical facility where she was transferred. Dorothy lay in bed, half her face slack, eyes tracking him but unable to speak. I wanted you to know, Warren said quietly, that Hope is thriving. She's in therapy, she's back to her happy self, and she'll never remember you as anything but a nightmare. Your legacy is destroyed. Your name is synonymous with evil, and you'll spend whatever time you have left trapped in that broken body, knowing that I won. Dorothy's good eye filled with tears. Her working hand trembled, reaching toward him, pleading or threatening, Warren couldn't tell. He turned and walked away, leaving her to her fate. 6 months after that horrific night, Warren stood in the kitchen of a new house, smaller than before, but it was theirs, bought with money from his work and free of the Humphrey family's tainted influence. Hope sat at the table coloring, her tongue poking out in concentration, the way it always did when she was focused. Daddy, look! Hope held up her drawing, a picture of the two of them, holding hands with a big sun overhead. It's beautiful. Sweetheart, can we get ice cream after dinner? Absolutely. Life had returned to something resembling normal. Hope's nightmares had faded. She'd made new friends at her new school. The therapist said she was remarkably resilient. Warren had learned that children could survive horrors that would break adults as long as they had someone who loved them unconditionally. His phone buzzed. Agent Carson. Warren, thought you'd want to know. We closed the last case today. 47 arrests, total across 7 states. Over 300 children recovered or identified. Your testimony was crucial. How many children did we save? Warren asked. Directly from that night, 33. But because you took down that network, we prevented thousands more from being trafficked. You did good work. After hanging up, Warren looked at his daughter. Hope was humming to herself, adding flowers to her drawing. He'd been a Marine. He'd served his country in war zones, but nothing he'd done in Afghanistan compared to what he'd accomplished that night. Dismantling a trafficking ring, saving his daughter, and ensuring that everyone responsible faced justice. Nicole was serving 28 years. Dr. Edgar Fox got 35. Elias O'Brien, with his extensive criminal record, received life without parole. The others involved received sentences ranging from 15 to 40 years. Dorothy Humphrey remained in her medical facility, trapped in her paralyzed body, a living reminder that evil doesn't always die. Sometimes it just withers. Warren had considered killing her that night in the warehouse. It would have been easy, but this was better. Dorothy got to live with her failure, her disgrace, her destroyed legacy. Death would have been too kind. Daddy, what should we have for dinner? Hope asked. What do you want? Pizza. Pizza it is. Warren Waters had won. He'd saved his daughter, destroyed his enemies, and built a new life from the ashes of the old one. The victory was earned through intelligence, courage, and an unwavering commitment to protecting the innocent. And every night when he tucked Hope into bed, saw her smile and heard her say, I love you, Daddy. Warren knew that no matter what nightmares had come before, the future was bright. Justice had been served, and for the first time in months, Warren Waters slept peacefully.